Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, Monday, March 14th, 2022. Stand up for your country. Tired of Ukraine, Putin, and all this stuff? Americans are. This weekend they tuned out. I understand. Spring coming, St. Patrick's Day this week. You know, it's grim. The news is grim. And every day it's very similar. Well, tonight we have different Ukraine, Putin media news for you. I'm going to slow the pace down because I don't want anybody to mishear or misunderstand. This is very important, what we're going to tell you tonight. Okay, so on that front, Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is going to have a virtual speech in front of Congress on Wednesday. All right, he did that to the House of Lords and the House of Commons in London. He's doing it here. You know, we'll cover it. I don't expect to hear anything different. There are peace negotiations underway. I do expect sometime in the near future that there will be a ceasefire, but Putin's not going to do that until he can carve out a large piece of Ukraine for Russia. But I believe that the economic sanctions will strangle Putin's economy and, you know, he'll take it up to the line. But I could be wrong, of course. Now, it is simply amazing on how much death and destruction is being caused by one man, Putin. He's a monster. This isn't about his Politburo or the people of Russia. Nobody over there outside of the real fanatical Putin people want this. It's him. So whenever you hear anyone, whether it be a politician, a foreign leader, a pundit here in the USA, stick up for Putin, you got to take measure of that. This man is a war criminal. He is responsible for the deaths of women and children, innocent women and children, and the destruction of an entire country. Okay, now, a media story about Putin is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Over the weekend, a far-left rag named Mother Jones printed a story with the headline, "Leaked Kremlin Memo to Russian Media. It is essential to feature Tucker Carlson." That was the headline of the story. It was written by a guy named David Corn, C-O-R-N, who is in the Vile Human Being Hall of Fame. Long time horror, this guy. Now, Mother Jones would have you believe that someone inside the Russian government leaked them a memo ordering the Russian media to use Tucker Carlson. That's what they want the readers to believe. Okay, so the first question comes to mind is, why would they leak a memo like that to an obscure publication which nobody reads and very few have even heard of, Mother Jones? Why wouldn't they leak that to the Washington Post or the New York Times or a big publication? That's question number one. Number two, who leaked this so-called memo? Mother Jones won't say. It's anonymous sources. So I guess Mother Jones is protecting someone inside the Kremlin, doesn't want to say who that person is or even describe what position that person might hold. All right, these are just logical questions. Why Mother Jones, and why not identify the person who sent you the memo? Third, the Russian government hasn't verified this memo. You would think they'd be right on it, right? Tucker Carlson sticking up for us, right? Wouldn't they do that? Wouldn't they want the world to know? What's the downside for Putin? No downside. They haven't verified it. Doesn't matter. As soon as this comes out, the left-wing websites on the internet pick it up. Boom, it's out there. So Carlson sitting there going, what the deuce is this? As I did in, let me get the exact year, 2015, February 19th. The same publication, Mother Jones, the same guy, David Korn, wrote a defamatory article saying that I fabricated my reporting overseas. It was a total lie, 100% lie. And if not for a man named Don Brown, who was the NBC bureau chief covering South America at the time, and I was working for CBS, okay? I wasn't working for him. I didn't even know him. He came out and said, that's bull. What O'Reilly reported was damn good. Now, did anybody retract? Did Mother Jones? No. The damage was done because Mother Jones wanted to take me out, as it does Tucker Carlson. Wants to take him off the board. And that's what these people do. But the horror of it all is that the other internet news sites just pick it up and spit it out to the world. Unbelievable corruption. Now, I disagree with Tucker Carlson's coverage of the Ukraine war. 100% disagree. In fact, I did investigating over the weekend, and I have excellent sources. Cannot tell you who they are, so I'm not reporting this as fact. I'm reporting what I was told. And this is about the bioweapons lab in Ukraine. That story is bogus. So, when the Soviet Union left Ukraine, it also left a number of nuclear and bioweapons scattered around the country. Okay? They're called hot spots. We have one on Long Island, Plum Island. Okay? So the United States under Obama, Trump, and now Biden funds a laboratory to clean up those hot spots. That's the story. It's not Ukraine with American money is making some diabolical bioweapon, as implied by some commentators. That's not true. It's a cleanup site. Now, if you don't believe me, just think about it. 3 presidents, they're going to fund a bioweapons lab in close proximity to Russia, where if Russia comes across, that's the first thing they see. That's what they're going to do. Come on. All right? But if you go on the right-wing websites, you'll see bioweapons lab funded by USA. You see what I mean? It's totally out of control. The American people don't know what the deuce to think. But when you attack a human being, i.e. Tucker Carlson, and try to take him out using some kind of ridiculous report, it's just unbelievably wrong. Carlson's entitled to his opinion. He's entitled to say what he thinks. You don't like it, you don't like it. Don't watch it. All right? My job is to give you the truth. Now, maybe my sources, again, if you read Killing the Killers, you'll know what kind of sources we have inside the intelligence community in the United States. But my sources say, cleanup lab. Maybe they're lying to me. Possible, but not probable. You don't think Donald Trump is going to allow that? Do you really think that? Okay. That is the Talking Points memo. American journalist killed by Russian forces. You know, I said this in private conversation. I didn't say it on the air because I didn't want to get into a what could happen speculatory situation. But I knew that Russian troops would kill any journalist, doesn't have to be American, if there was an opportunity, and they have. Brent Renaud, brilliant journalist from all accounts, and his partner, Juan Ariando, was wounded. All right, so they were up covering a refugee situation as they should have, and the Russians were there, and the Russians just shot at them. And Mr. Renaud was killed. Now, I'm not going to tell you about my background here, but I was in the same situation as he was in Argentina, and to a lesser extent in El Salvador. There was nobody around who would protect me. And I knew that the army in Argentina and the muchachos, the guerrillas in El Salvador, would shoot me. They were perfectly capable of that. Not only me, but any gringo. Okay, so our condolences to his family. And I mean, the guy was a brilliant journalist, and I hope somebody writes a book about him. How devastated would you be if a criminal stole all the equity in your home? Well, that crime is happening all over the USA. The FBI calls home title fraud one of the fastest growing crimes. So protect yourself at HomeTitleLock.com, America's leader in home title protection. See, the deed to your home is the only document that proves you own it. And the deeds to all homes are now online. A criminal can quickly forge your name off the deed and refile as the owner. This can happen to anyone, like one homeowner, Deborah, whose common identity theft service didn't protect her. So she got evicted. Deborah has signed up now for Home Title Lock. HomeTitleLock.com is your peace of mind that the deed to your home is protected. Visit HomeTitleLock.com, HomeTitleLock.com. Okay, let's get into more propaganda, and this is unbelievable. So I told you, and I'll run this after we have Bernie Goldberg going to comment on my comments. Going to comment on my comments? He's going to assess what I'm saying. But I'm going to do the oil thing after Bernie. But I will tell you that I told you last week that a New York Times fact-checked article which said that Biden was not responsible for the rise in American gas prices was bogus. All right? So the Biden administration picked up that article on March 11th. This was on a flight back, I guess it was from Fort Worth. Andrew Bates is the voice you will hear. He works for Biden. Go.
The New York Times had a very conclusive fact check yesterday. Headline was, Republicans wrongly blame Biden for rising gas prices. And so I think it's important to note that independent arbiters in the press have consulted experts, and they have deemed that these attacks are disingenuous.
Independent. Yeah, okay. So I knew that was going to happen, and here's what I told you. That was March 11th. Here's what I said on March 10th. Go. So why is the New York Times putting that on page one? Rank propaganda. Blatantly dishonest. Why? Two reasons. First, to prop up Joe Biden, who's getting hammered. But second, and most importantly, the New York Times knows the climate change warriors are on the run. The number one issue for the New York Times is climate change and changing America's capitalistic system into a quasi-social economic system under the guise of improving the planet climate-wise. Okay, joining us now from North Carolina is the purveyor of BernardGoldberg.com, a very good website. You guys should check in with Bernie regularly. And I just said a lot.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so you take it where you want to take it. Go.
Let me start out with the war correspondent who was killed. Over the last 2 years, 96 journalists have been killed. This year, at least 5 independent journalists were killed in Mexico alone. So forgive me if I'm stating the obvious, but dictators, authoritarian thugs, criminals, none of them want journalists nosing into their business. So I don't think there's anybody on the planet who thinks that Vladimir Putin is happy that journalists in general and journalists with cameras in particular are covering the war, because they expose the violations, the human rights violations, the war crimes that he's committing. And I hate to say this, and boy, do I hope I'm wrong, but some of the people you're watching on a daily and nightly basis doing live shots from balconies in Kiev, boy, I hope they're all okay. I hope they all come out in one piece. But they are in very, very dangerous situation.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say what my prediction was, because I didn't want to be the Grim Reaper, but I knew. And not only that, but journalists cannot go to the bio lab. They can't go to the nuclear reactors. They have to stay where the Ukrainians control the situation, because the Russian army will shoot them dead, because the Russian army knows no one will hold them accountable. Just like the Mexican government are not going to hold the cartel members accountable for killing a journalist in Mexico. They know they can get away with it, so why not do it? So it is ultra dangerous, and everybody should understand that those people over there, those journalists, are heroes. Now, what about this rank propaganda? I gave you the Mother Jones and the bioweapons example because I wanted to show left and right. What do you think about that?
Well, here's where we may have an interesting discussion. I don't know if the Mother Jones report is true or not. I mean, I'm willing to accept your take on it, that they're out to get certain people. I'm willing to accept that, but I don't know. But I do know this. After Tucker Carlson did one of the stupidest commentaries in the history of stupid cable news commentaries, the Russian state TV ran the segment he did with subtitles. And let me tell you what he did, and more importantly, let me tell your audience what he did. He went on television and he said, why do we hate, this is one day before the tanks rolled into Ukraine, why do we hate Vladimir Putin so much? He didn't call us a racist, did he? He didn't call us, he doesn't manufacture fentanyl. He didn't take our middle class jobs away. So why do we hate him so much? Well, here's what he left out of his questions. We hate him so much because he's an authoritarian thug, because he doesn't tolerate any dissent, that he poisons people in his own country who disagree with him, and because he was on the verge of launching the biggest ground war in Europe in more than 75 years. But Tucker Carlson was, so there was an old term, which I know you know, Bill, in the Soviet days, called a useful idiot, a Westerner, an American, who went along with Stalin or whoever, not knowing what he was really doing. Tucker Carlson knows what he was doing. He was appealing to the most extreme wing of his audience. That's what he was doing. And he was defending
there is a possibility that first of all, Carlson's entitled to say what he wants to say. You would agree with that, right?
Well, yes, as long as you agree that I'm entitled to call him a dope for doing it.
Well, you're on the air here, and we'll put Carlson on if he wants to come on. But,
and I'm aware that more than a few people watching us right now are fans of Tucker Carlson, but I won't pander to them. I won't pander to them.
Well, you never do, and that's why we put you on. But let me play devil's advocate here. So Carlson may believe that it's not worth the United States leading the charge against a totalitarian guy, and I don't think Tucker would deny that, because the stakes in Ukraine aren't high enough, and that Putin's not threatening us directly. He just wants Ukraine, and for whatever reason, Carlson thinks that's not okay, but it doesn't justify getting us down the road to a bigger confrontation. I think that's his thinking. Would you disagree with that?
Well, let me give you my take on it. If he had said, and I think this is what you're implying, if he had said, I don't think it's worth sending Americans to fight there, I'd say that's fine. By the way, not only do I agree with that, but I think he's certainly more than entitled to that opinion. But he didn't say that. He said, why do we hate Vladimir Putin as much as we do? That's a dumb question. And it's a cynical question because even Tucker Carlson knows that Vladimir Putin is the monster that you said he was a few minutes ago. He did it for a reason. What's the reason? To appeal to the fringe of his audience. That's not a good enough reason for me.
Okay, what percentage of Americans do you believe are not sympathetic to Putin? I don't think there are hardly any sympathetic, but are basically so distrustful of the Biden administration that they are skeptical of any action against anybody at this point. What percentage of Americans do you think fall into that category?
Well, I think just broadly speaking, there's a lot of skepticism because of something else you said earlier. You don't know who to trust anymore. But in particular, I think only the hard, crazy right-wing fringe is a fan of Putin. There was a white supremacist rally, and they started chanting Putin, Putin, Putin in a positive way. This is only fringe screwballs who actually like Putin. 99% of Americans, especially now seeing on television what he's doing, despise the guy.
So I agree with your assessment that I wouldn't put it at 99, I put it at 95. So 95% of Americans, they want this Putin guy to be crushed. Now, most don't want, and all the polls demonstrate this, most don't want American soldiers on the ground. It's evenly divided among air power, but I will tell you that Polish jets going up in Ukraine airspace is just what Putin wants, because he'll knock them out of the sky like that, and then he can go to his own people and say, see, I told you, they're a big threat, so now we got to do X, Y, and Z. So that's what's going on with the jets. But about 5% of the people do sympathize with Putin for whatever crazy reason. Carlson's got to know that he's staking out territory that might come back to bite him, don't you think? Carlson's a smart guy. He's not a dummy.
I do think that. And you know when it came back to bite him? Less than 24 hours later, when the tanks rolled in and he was out on that limb.
But it didn't come back to bite him because his numbers are still pretty strong. People did not bail.
But one day later, not 1 week later, not 1 month later, 1 day later, he said, oh, I just want to make clear what Vladimir Putin did last night when he rolled his tanks into Ukraine. This war is on him. He was wrong. Well, why did he say that? 1 day after he said
it because management told him to say it.
Okay.
All right. I mean, You want the truth? That's the truth.
I'm willing to accept that.
I hope so. All right. Last question here.
By the way, do you think if you believe in something and management tells you to say
it? It's a matter of, do I keep my job or what? They didn't order him. Hey, look, I know what happened. They didn't order him to say anything. He's way too powerful for Fox management to do that. But they said, and they rightly said, Fox management wasn't wrong. You're putting us in a difficult spot here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
If there's any window where you see, the other side of the story, maybe you should let that go tonight.
And what do you
Fox
think
News
would happen?
Management was absolutely correct in saying that. They got thousands of employees, and those employees, a lot of them are getting a little nervous about this. Last word.
I don't blame them. What would you say if somebody on Fox or any channel said what he said, but had really, really crummy ratings? What do you think would have happened?
They're gone then.
Exactly.
But if you have crummy ratings, but I shouldn't say that because CNN has the worst ratings I've ever seen, and they're going to fire 50% of their personnel over there. But they've lasted for years. So it's a different game than it was when I started The Factor and when you were a contributor on The Factor. It's a far different game right now.
Because there's only one thing that trumps money, only one thing. And that's ideology.
Right. All right, Bernie, BernardGoldberg.com is the place. After you finish with BillO'Reilly.com, you whip right on over there and you'll know everything. Thanks, Bernie. We always appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for your next investment? Bill O'Reilly here. There are 8 reasons to look at the NRIA Real Estate Development Fund. Stable monthly cash flow payouts with double-digit targeted bonus returns. They strategically develop in lower risk, high demand neighborhoods. Prime new construction is short on supply and high on demand. Diversification is safety from stock market risk. They have a short and long-term strategy for returns today and down the road. Specifically designed pandemic-hardened buildings. They are 15-year industry leaders with a proven track record. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines or want to diversify, please start your due diligence at nria.net or call 800-800-1414. That's easy, 800-800-1414.
An offer of securities is only made by the NRIA Private Placement Memorandum. Read it first. Past performance does not guarantee future results. NRIA is a real estate development firm. Learn more at nria.net.
All right, here's a final thought of the day directed toward younger people. Your appearance matters. I know it's shallow, but we live in a shallow country. People judge you on how you look. Now, it wasn't always that way. When I was your age, during the Woodstock years, the Vietnam War years, if you looked like a bum, that was cool and chic. All right? So there were a lot of, unkept folks back in the 60s and early 70s. She's not so unkept. No, that's a guy. Anyway, now it's different. So in the marketplace, you got to look good. And it's a discipline. So every day you should have grooming, 2 grooming sessions, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. Brush your teeth 3 times a day. Keep them. Keep those teeth. All right? Your complexion, very important. 3 times a day, wash your face. Okay? Keep yourself well groomed. It will pay off huge, but it is a discipline. Sometimes you're tired. Do it anyway. I'm looking out for you. We'll see you tomorrow. As you may know, inflation is out of control thanks to the policies of this administration. Retirement accounts are especially vulnerable now. When inflation goes up, your savings goes down. Protect your hard-earned wealth against inflation. Please call the people I trust at American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. They are the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients. Takes just a short phone call, and they will deliver physical gold and silver right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. Plus, tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they will give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. So please don't wait. Call 866-501-5201, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.